Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. And today I am here to share my first set of alternatives using the September 2023 Paper Pumpkin Kit named With Love and Gratitude. Before we get started, let me thank those of you who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for your support. And if you are new to my channel, or maybe you've watched a few and have yet to subscribe, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my YouTube channel. I share tips and tricks along the way, generally with my videos, just as they pop into my head. And I love sharing alternatives. I usually do about 3 average alternative videos, sometimes 4. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those alternatives. So let me get started with my first set of alternatives. Now, as I've shared in my unboxing, I do love to store all of my goodies in this 7x9 envelope, and it's Velcro, and it's quite sturdy material rather than the box, and this helps me just keep organized and in a smaller container than the box. So this is part of what I call my favorite things, and a list of those are in the video description box below if you're interested in where I get these. Also, one of my favorite things are these little smaller envelopes that I keep these smaller die cuts and things from the kits, as well as my setup of the components for my videos of alternatives that I share for you. So let me get started. So this is the card I'm going to create today, and I basically have used the die cuts from the kit and added a few extra cardstock and things. And I thought, let me get this out of the way, I thought given the colors and that this is a fall kit, I would go with a very vanilla base versus the white that I generally use in all my cards. So if all you have is white, I'm sure it would look just as stunning if you would choose to do a white background. So I have ready my thick, well, it's not very vanilla, I guess it's just vanilla cardstock ready. I have my die cut from the kit, as well as I did use the scallop contour dies, and these are right here. It has this wonderful set. These are some of my favorites that I use, and even though it does coordinate with the color and contour stamp set, there are only 2 dies in there that do. So even if you choose not to get the stamp set, this is a great set of dies to use over and over. And the item number for these dies is 155560. So one thing that I do is I have cut out the second largest die in Lost Lagoon. And so I didn't have to remeasure it over and over again. I put a sticky note on this die cut telling me what the matte piece would be. So the matte piece for the second largest die is 2 9/16 by 3 7/8. So I did cut that right here, but I wanted to give it some pizzazz. So I brought in my Fern 3D embossing folder, and I love that look. So if that's an embossing folder you don't have and you'd like to add it to your collection, the item number for it is 158804. And speaking of item numbers and everything, I do have my current host code here. And if you do not have a demonstrator, I would really appreciate your support by using this host code. And any orders of $75 or more, you will receive a small gift from me. So this code also works on prepaid Paper Pumpkin subscriptions. And if you are one of my Paper Pumpkin subscribers, you will receive from me this envelope with a sleeve for you to store your stamp set in. So you also receive a 1-inch square of the coordinating cardstock for the ink spot. This is one I had made before I knew we were getting one in the Paper Pumpkin Kit, but that way you can store your inks upside down, and that way on your spots all the inks will be at the top of the pad, much like our full-size pads. So sorry for the business I threw in there, but while I was on the topic, I thought I would go ahead. Now, I wanted to add a little more jazz to it. So I chose for this card to use this die. I love the detail of this leaf, and it comes from the textured floral dies. I bought this as a bundle. It does have a coordinating stamp set that go with the flowers and everything, but I love all the detail leaves in here as well. So the textured floral bundle is in the annual catalog, and let me grab that and I'll show you where it's at. Okay, so this is the annual catalog for Stampin' Up. It's the big, thick one, and it runs from May 2023 through April 2024. And if you go all the way back to the back, you can see the bundles, and I believe they put these in alphabetical order. So here is the textured floral bundle, and it tells you the page number where you can see things a little bigger. So it said page 65. And so this is the textured floral stamp set and dies, and the bundle item number is 161232. So I have made some gorgeous cards with this set as well. I think I've already put those away, or I would show you what I made with those. But anyway, it's a beautiful set. All right, so that's where I got this die from. All right, so I have all my components ready except for a layering panel. Now, I really wish we had a lighter color than crumb cake, and I've pre-done most of it. I didn't want you to have to wait for me to stamp everything. But how I did this look was I took this stamp from out of the kit, and I inked it up with crumb cake, which was a coordinating color. And so I stamped onto the pad, and then I stamped onto a scratch sheet of paper, and then I stamped on my layer just to give a lighter look. And that one was really light, which I wish all of them were like that. But it doesn't matter. It's going to have a different tones throughout, which I like. And this is also called second generation stamping. So you're stamping off on a scratch sheet of paper, and then I think I'm going to go this direction. All right, stamp there. I'm really stamping off hard, I guess. But we're going to go with that because it's not going to show quite as dramatic. It actually looks like an ombre effect, which I kind of like as well. So each one of these that you do will be different. So that's how I did that. A tip here is I generally start in the middle and then work around. That way, because if you start here and you kind of run off, I just find that stamping in the middle helps me to get all around. So I'm going to feel on my card base that I made. This one's kind of wompy. Let me see if I can re-score it a little flatter without putting a score mark in everything else. Okay, that's just a jar that you hear that I keep my things in. All right, and I'm going to get my Tombow multi-purpose glue that I have in a fine tip glue bottle. So I like this because it helps me control the amount of glue that I receive. And some people have asked how I keep it from getting clogged. I pull like that when I'm done. I don't know if that helps. And then I put the lid on and I store it upside down. If it's really, really, really clogged, I do have a needle that I use, but I don't think I've had to use it on the Tombow multi-purpose glue. If you're using other glues, I can't contest to what would work for that. That is my favorite glue, and it's fairly economical. So consider changing if you don't use that one, as I don't generally have problems with it. Okay, so I've adhered that to here. And now I want to adhere my layering piece onto my contour die cut. And that's in Lost Lagoon, if I did not mention. Now, I do generally use additional supplies with my paper pumpkin because I like to make the cards a little more avid. But if you are a subscriber and you want to make them just like they are, that is perfectly fine. Thank you for watching. All right, so there is that, and that was embossed with the fern folder. Okay, so now I'm gonna come up with my little design here of where I want the flowers. So let me see. I need one of the gold pieces out of the kit. Use the Velcro sound. Oh, that's cheating. That's for the next card. They must be in my envelope. I did not get one of those out. Okay, I like that these were separated by tissue. I can't remember in the unboxing, did I say vellum? It's really a tissue. And I need one of the large leaves, gold leaves for this. So be careful when you're pulling it out that you kind of pull where it's attached. That way you don't tear it. And also, no, don't throw this away. We can always do die cut pieces out of that with dies that we have later. Okay, so I wanted to stretch these leaves a little. So what I did was okay, where can I cut off some leaves or some branches? So I cut this one off and save that for the next card. You think I'm going to lose it? I don't know. And then I cut this one off as well. I'm going to turn it around so I can get my scissors in this way. Okay, and I cut those two off because I knew I wanted to put that on this side. So everything would have covered that up anyway. Now, any green die cuts you have, or even if you just have the bow punch, would probably work. Oh, and I did cut this in Mossy Meadow. I don't think I mentioned that either. This helps me not take so much of your time when I go ahead and pre-lay them out. So I get them kind of like I want. I'll turn this one a little more this way. And then I get the glue dots. And I already have some glue dots started from the kit. I'm just going to use those. I use up from previous kits rather than starting on the new ones, because I have quite a collection of glue dots. So I'm going to put this glue dot. I don't want to bend the gold, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and put some on there. I should have done this ahead of time, huh? Okay. Just a few to set it down where you want. So let me peel off the backing. Okay, and I think I wanted that about right here. Oops. So I'm going to glue that down. Now this one, I'm going to use, this is the Tombow Aqua glue, and unfortunately Stampin' Up! Does not carry this one. I like it because it dries not sticky. So the Tombow multi-purpose glue, when it dries sticky. So I didn't want it to dry sticky. All right, so I'm going to set that down there. Because see, some came up, and if I, whoops, when I take it off, don't get glue on your finger and then lift the whole thing up. All right. So that is that, and then we're going to put the die cut from the kit here. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. All right, so I want some glue dots on it as well. You know what? I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue, so it'll go a little faster than me doing glue dots. All right, and right down on the center, I'm going to move it just a little bit so it covers up the stem from the gold. Maybe a little higher. Okay, so there is our little floral cluster. And now I want to put this on with dimensionals. Now, again, I have dimensionals from previous paper pumpkin kits, and these seem a little thicker. I don't know why. I think they switched manufacturers of who supplied the dimensionals for the kits. So these might be a little higher than the normal ones. And these are the mini ones. I think we got minis in our kit. So I always give them a good little press. You see I have a glue dot there where it's not going to attach. You know what, maybe I'll try to get that off so it doesn't try to stick to the card. Just use my fingers and roll it off. Okay, am I still in camera with everything? So I'm going to keep this for my next card. I'll probably make a couple of these. When you run out of your die cut floral images, you can make one. And in the next card, I'm going to show you what I did to try to get the best, as close to that look as I could. Now these are on there tight. Okay, now I'm going to use my grid paper here, and if you notice, the center is, if you do this top part, there's a 0, so each side hangs off the 2 just a little bit. So that way when I'm eyeing where to put this, I see it's about the 1/2 inch mark there. So let's see how I did. I think I did pretty good at an angle, so that's good. All right, now for this sentiment, I did use the one from the kit, Grateful for You, and I made my own little flagged label because I wanted to use the very vanilla, not the white ones that came with the kit. And then I inked with a sponge dauber. I just went around the edge, inking that in Mossy Meadow as well. Here's a closer look. But for this sentiment, I want to use a different sentiment. I shared in my unboxing that I generally make cards to give to my church or my parents' church to send to the homebound. So we have a card ministry for that, and it helps support that. So I'm going to do a more generic sentiment, and this is from the Go to Greetings stamp set. Now, if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, and I highly recommend getting just some generic stamp sets that have greetings that you can go to all the time. And this is one that I love. It's called the Go to Greetings, and the item number for it is 158763. So it has the happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, and thank you in many different scripts. And it also has a hello in this smaller script. But I'm using the thinking of you. And let me show you how I do this. So here's a stamp positioner tip of what I do. So this one is a cling stamp set, so it doesn't need the foam mat because it already has cushion on it right here. Now I've already lined this up, but I'm going to show you what I do. So I ink it up, and then without this here, I stamp it on my grid sheet. Now I try to get it straight. If it's not straight, not a big deal. Okay, so then when my ink is on this, I then take my negative piece and I put it over that, knowing that that's where it's going to stamp. And so that's what I do. I stick that in there and then stamp it. Now let me also give you a tip with the cling mount. So you can see this one, I don't know if it shows much, but it's a little thicker and kind of not as crisp of script, and this one is more script. And how you get that is when you go to stamp it, you don't want to mash, right, your cling stamps, because you'll get more of the smush look. Okay, so for a clean line of this fine script, you just want to set it down and apply light pressure. I mean, you really probably don't even really need any, just to touch it to make sure it got all the way down. And that's how you can get a more crisp image on your sentiment. So I hope that was a tip you enjoyed, if I haven't shared that before. All right, so I am going to use this thinking of you. And I'm going to put it, I can do a little off the edge. I think I'll just cover up the stem. Is there a place? No. I'll just cover up the stem some. All right, so I'm going to put my tombow there. Slide it up. I can have it, where is it? leaf is going. All right, then I get it where I want it, and I add a little more glue there. Now, if this were hanging off the side more, I would add a dimensional underneath there to help support it, but I think it's good like it is. So, save that for the next card. I did go in and add some embellishments, and these are new embellishments. I thought I had them in the folder. Maybe I accidentally put them in the next folder. You know what? Here they are. So these are some new embellishments that I found, and I really liked how they're silver, gold, black, and I think that's just more black up there, and probably silver. So these are called adhesive-backed sparkle gems, and if you're interested in adding these, their item number is 161288, and so that's what I put right here. Aren't they pretty? They do sparkle. I don't know if that's showing the sparkle, but I did use these down here. They're kind of a copper gold color. I guess I should look that up and see exactly what they call it. So there is my first alternative. Let's put up these goodies so I don't lose any of that. Okay. Okay, now to my second alternative. So I want to show you how you can use your envelope in your kit. And I have a few tips and tricks for that. So this is the card we're going to be making. And this is a floral image that I stamped. And I'm going to show you what I did to try to get it to look like the other ones. All right, so let me get out my components. I have my Very Vanilla thick card base. Now, this is a piece of Very Vanilla that's 3 and, let me double check. Yep, 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, and then I brought in a kit I haven't used that much, and I really like the look of it, so I thought this would be a place to bring it in. It's the Around the Bend dies. And then, of course, I have some greenery. Now, this greenery I decided to use on this kit is actually from the Splendid dies. And these are on the clearance rack. And let me tell you, this is a great deal. I didn't have this set before it went on the clearance rack. But these dies are only $8.25. Let me show you what those look like. Here they are right here. So you get several leaves, and you get 2 that go with the stamp set. And the stamp set is also on the clearance rack last I looked. So you can get this and the stamp set, or just the dies if you're not worried about these 2 images, to get some great leaf images to use in your project. So I just thought I would share that and try to use that on this project since those are so discounted. So here's some leaves. I didn't punch out all the little holes that I cut from the Splendid dies. And then, like I said, I have already pre-stamped the image. Now, I do have a scan and cut, and I did use my scan and cut to make this image. And if you're interested in me maybe trying to do a scan and cut video of how I do this, let me know in the comments below. I've been thinking of how I could do that, and I'd probably have to do different segments and then merge those videos together for one video. But I make a whole sheet of just white ones, and then I go in and stamp them rather than stamping. And I'll tell you why, because if you just stamped and let it do its direct cut, you'd have to connect all these areas on each one you stamp. So I make one, and then I have it print the white. And I know this is vanilla, but I thought it looked okay white there because the die cut image of the previous one was in white. All right, so let me get started and show you how I'm going to make it like this. So I brought in the copper clay marker, and these are available for the new in colors. And I'm going to get a little mat that I can work on. Well, this will be fun. Or I can use my I'm not going to press hard, so I can use my Pierce mat. Okay, and then I'm going to use the fine tip. Now, of the markers, they did change out the tips in them. So these are the new style. The brush tip is a little longer. Maybe even I don't know, it's a finer tip. But anyway, I'm going to use this larger writing tip. And I'm just going to go in. If I get my hair in, I apologize, but I want to go right over the lines. And this was stamped in Lost Lagoon. Okay, but I'm going to add the stems by just going over this with my marker, and it tends to go over the Lost Lagoon pretty well. Okay, so then I'm going to continue down here. And I know I'm doing this slow because I don't want to mess it up. So just take your time when you do this. Trying to get all the branches. Let's see, let's make that a branch. And that a branch. Okay, so that's our branches in copper clay, which is a coordinating color. Okay, so then I wanted to add some Mossy Meadow to the die cut. Let me get another, or bring that card back so I can show you that it looks like it has some other colors in it than just that, and that looks kind of flat. And to me, it looked like it had more, Mossy Meadow, and so that's what I've done here on a thin paper pumpkin stamp block that I saved to use for purposes like this. Got a mess. Let me clean that up so you can see it better. Okay, so I just take like my spot. Don't know where it went. and I put some ink on there. Now, I found these brushes at the dollar store a couple years ago, and I thought they would be good for crafting, and they've worked out well for this. So too bad, I would use a blending brush, but it's too big. So I pick up some ink, run it off the side, and then I can go along this flower and just add a little bit of the other green color to it. I assume that's a petal leaf. I'm not a detailed flower person, so if someone knows what kind of flower that is, let me know in the comments below. Or is that just a leaf? I don't know. Okay, so that's how I gave it some detail rather than just the stark Lost Lagoon. And then the little sprigs there, I left those in a Lost Lagoon, much like they did here. So you can add as much or as little of the green as you like. I'm happy with that, so that's all I'm going to add. All right, let me put this back up so I don't get ink on it. All right, and now we're going to build our card. But first, and one thing I did forget to do was cut open an envelope for you guys on the unboxing. I said I was going to do it, and then I did not. Now, here is an envelope, and I'm just going to cut this one open for you. I'll show you how I made this. All right, so I'm right-handed. I like the big part on my side. You want a nice flat area for your trimmer. You don't want it to be lopsided. Now, I share when you pull down, you're going to want to put your paper against this solid piece. All right, so you just have to take a small piece off. And then when you push up, you want it to be on that side. Now I've got the camera zoomed in a little bit to try to help show you closer what I'm doing. So for the trimmer, I have to go back and forth. Okay, and then you can trim off the white piece. It's plenty long. So you want to go just above the score line so you don't get some fraying. All right, so there is the pretty envelope front. I don't use this for anything except in the recycle bin, but there you go. Now, I shared in the last video how to remove this adhesive. So I'm going to share again in case you missed that. So you want to get a damp paper towel. It can be fairly damp. You just want to be gentle. And then I use the silicone mat so I don't get my surface wet. And then you just want to get that glue part wet. Okay? And you probably do want to use one that doesn't have any other colors on it. So as it gets wet, then you just kind of wipe it away. Okay, so as I can see, there's no shiny bits left. So that means I got all the glue off. Now this one's wet, but I wanted to show you how to do that. I already have one cut. So what I did is I took the envelope piece and then I trimmed it off the top to be 5 3/8. And then you do have to trim some of the sides to get a solid piece. But when you want to take a little from both sides and end up with 3 inches across the bottom. And that'll get you more to use for this card that we're going to do. So as you can see, this one that leaves me 2 left, and these 2 are already cut. So we're going to use those and cheat and make it look like we have a full sheet of this down on our card. So let me see if I can, yep, that's how they went. All right, so I'm going to glue these right on the edge, leaving a little very vanilla border. And especially with envelope paper, you want to not put a big blob of glue because it may show through and make your envelope paper wrinkle because it's very thin. You know, I think it goes that way because of the branches. Okay, so I'm going to put this one over here. All right. I like the Tombow glue because it gives me a second to move it and try to get it straight. I could use my T-ruler, which is one of my favorite things, but I'm probably too late to see if it's straight. I did really good. All right. The T-ruler is also one of my favorite things. I really appreciate you guys that have used my links. They are safe links. I am an Amazon affiliate, and so I get those links straight from them. All right, let's check this one. Not straight. Okay, now that's straight. That helps me get nice straight pieces on there. Now again, I think I already shared this was 3 3/8 by 5 3/8, and this was embossed with that same fern embossing folder that I showed in the previous card. So I'm just going to glue this right over the top. You can choose whichever side. I tend to like the raised up part on the top. And if any puckers, I'll go back in with a glue dot. Let's see. I do want to get this centered, so I'm going to use my grid sheet to help me with that. Okay, and then when I have it where I want it, oh, too much, I can tell. See if I got that straight. Okay, that's pretty good. This is just a hair longer. I would have trimmed that ahead of time had I noticed that, but I think it's going to be okay because the focus is going to be somewhere else. I just realized I left off a piece. Pull that up. Let's do that again. Okay. So I did want to cover this because when you do the around the bend die, it's not quite long enough. So I wanted to use some ribbon. Now I would have used like a vanilla and gold trim that I think is in the mini, but I didn't have that, but I had some retired ribbon with gold in it that I got off the clearance rack a while back. So this is what I do when I want to cheat and just use a little bit of ribbon. I just line it up there. Let's see if these are sharp enough. I do have a ribbon scissors, but since the edge doesn't matter here, that was fine. Now I generally go over Well, there's some liquid glue there, so it'll probably stay with that. I would use like a tear and tape or something to hold it down, but I think the liquid glue is still sticky enough to stick. Now my fingers are sticky. Let's see if I can get that off with my paper towel. Okay, now we want to put this down. So let's try that again. Oh, I didn't put any up here at the top. You want to put it right below the ribbon because it'll pucker a little bit. All right, we're going to try that again. Okay, let's get it centered with the grid sheet. I bet my T-ruler's not going to work now because it's all sticky. Oh, good. I did good. Sometimes you get good and eyeballing it. So, all right, let's hold that down for just a minute. Now, for this is the around the bend dies, and I have those over here to show you what they look like. They are right here, and there's some very nice like scallops, and that one coordinates with this one. And then there's this one with a bunch of leaves, and there's pretty leaves here and flowers, all kinds of things. And it also has a coordinating stamp set right here. The Around the Bend. The Around the Bend stamp set number is 160853. Okay, and the dies, because I don't believe this is available as a bundle anymore, the dies are 160649, and I really like this set, and I wanted to bring that in to give it some detail here. So there it is. You want this to be, I think it's about 3 1/8, and I just did it where it'd be smaller than that. And then the height is kind of determined by the bend of that die. So it's about 4. Let me measure that for you. So a little over 4 1/2. Okay. So there's that. So now again, I want to build my little cluster. So as you can see, I did use the Splendid dies on this one. Now I also cut some with the Around the Bend. I've lost my little folder. It does have some greenery in it. You can see right here. So rather than adding multiple different sets, although the Splendid is a very good value for $8.25. Oh, here they are. So I cut some of those in case you wanted to use those. But I may just stick with the Splendid like I did this one. So you want to bring back in these 2 gold pieces that you saved from before. And I just kind of lay everything out like I kind of want it. Okay, get the look. This over here. And this over here. Okay, so I think that's going to be good. Okay, I will turn that way. But let's start up top with this one. I'm going to put a glue dot on him in this bigger piece right here. Okay, and I'm going to set him up here in the corner. Okay, then this one, I'm going to use that same Tombow Aqua in case some oozes out around it. See? About there. Okay, and now this one, I'm going to use the same aqua glue. That one got kind of bent. Okay, let's go out. Let's go up with this one because I want the gold to come down too. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, do we want any more greenery? I don't think so, but I was just showing you that that would be an option if you wanted additional greenery, if you had that bundle or that set. Okay, I think that looks good. So let's put some glue dots on the gold piece. Do you guys like these alternates? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you are liking this video with all the tips. And the best compliment you can give to me is a thumbs up, and share the video and leave me a comment. I do read all of them. So if you have any questions, you can put that in the comments below. All right, I'm going to try to match up the leaf with where I want to put the stem. Okay, so I don't need the aqua for this. I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. Well, all thumbs there. All right, and then I'm going to flip this over and try to match up the stem part right here. Okay, so now we have our little bundle of goodies, and I'm going to put this on here with dimensionals. So I have some of those same real previous paper pumpkin dimensionals over here. I found these in a kit that it's going through my boxes, trying to narrow it down, and if I had any old stuff, I just made it just like it was so I could finish that kit. I found these dimensionals, which are awfully thick. Okay. I'm going to have a slew of these backings. I find them all over my house. I think they stick to my clothes and my shoes, and they'll be in my closet. Okay, and now you can see why I put that gold ribbon there, because this doesn't go all the way down. Try to get it straight just by looking at the border with the ribbon. Okay, so there we have that. And like I said, you can get 2 of these out of 1 envelope piece. So, oh, I missed one gold leaf. Let me put some, don't want to not miss the pretty gold leaf. Okay, I'm just going to put him up here. He's got to go in so it doesn't stick off the card. All right, so there is my second alternative for you today. Oh, the sentiment. I was going to use one of those thinking of yous. You know what, we'll stamp one, because here's a label right here. So let's see if I can do as I told you and not smush the ink all over. Okay, so I'm going to put my label that I cut in here. Okay, I do want to use Mossy Meadow. Here it is. I lost it earlier. All right, let me get this whole thing in view. Now you can use the new ink pads, work good as a level to make it level and not bent down. This is the Stamparatus, which Stampin' Up! Is no longer allowed to sell due to legal issues, but this is my favorite stamp positioner, so I am still going to use it. Okay, so I just lightly tap some ink, right? And then you just want to close it. You don't want to smash. Give it a second for the ink to absorb. It's stuck to it. That's okay. We're going to hope it's good. And it's pretty good, so I'm going to use that. Get my chamois. Put this back in here so I don't lose it. So this shows how I use my scan and cut with my negative pieces when I go to stamp my stamps. Okay, so as you can see here, I put a little piece of green there to give it some more detail, and I think I want to do that. I really wish I knew what I did with my little envelope. Excuse me. I thought I had a piece of green. Here it is. So I just had some scrap mossy meadow, and I just kind of took my label like this and said, where do I want it? And I think about there is good. Wasn't worried too much about it being super straight. It just going to add a little detail. All right, and here's how I added this. I did find some smaller glue dots that I had from previous paper pumpkins. Those are still big. Lots of big ones lately. Here's a sheet of smaller ones. And get my take your pick tool. That's the best thing for these glue dots is your take your pick tool. So I just put some along the top where I was going to put it on my card. And then I also put some on the bottom so I could adhere that green piece. Few more backings. I do use my nail for this. You could use your take your pick tool. I just find my nails work best. Okay, so I want to get that on there where it hangs off a little bit. Show a little more of that. Did I take off the glue dot from there? Doesn't matter if it's big, really. I kind of folded that glue dot, so it wasn't holding on very well. Okay, so there it is. I'm trying to decide, am I going to center it, do it off to the side? I will leave room for an embellishment, so I guess I'll put it over here. Now I can get my Tombow glue and commit it, because I think I folded all the glue dots. There are no mistakes in card making. I always say I just make an alternate of my alternate. Okay, so there's my thinking of you. Now I didn't ink around the side because it had stitching, so I thought that was enough interest for that. And then I'll add some embellishments to this card. Anyway, I don't want to take up your time putting on embellishments, but this is my second alternate using the envelope piece, just like, I think I used like 5/8 of an inch. I don't think I told you that, but about 5/8 of an inch works to cover that side. Now, this one I did much better. I made sure they were the same length. I should have made sure these were the same length as that before I glued those down, but that's just a way to improve that card, a tip when you go to make yours. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Here was the second one, and here was the first one. I'm going to have to put a dimensional on those because they're hanging off, but I will do that at the end when I get through this video. Again, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And also, if you do not already have a demonstrator and you would like to start receiving these paper pumpkin kits, you can subscribe through me, Robin Carter in Flower Mound, Texas. And any orders over $75 using this host code, you will receive a special gift from me. So thanks for joining me today. I'd love to read your comments. And as I said, give me a thumbs up, like, and share this video. Till my next alternate, enjoy watching. Bye-bye.